kind of sum up what NEA is calling for. Again, multiple measures of both student learning and school quality. Two, that you look at student achievement, not just a snapshot on one day of how does this child do on that one day on the statewide reading test, but you look at growth over time. How does this child do, or the student do from 3rd grade to 4th grade to 5th grade, that schools get credit for improvement on all points of the achievement scale, etc. We want to shift the whole system so it's one that's less based on labeling and punishing schools to one that recognizes, rewards, and supports success. We want to have some more flexibility, just kind of common sense flexibility in how students with disabilities and English language learner students are tested. We want federal support for class size reduction. We want some more flexibility for at least certain categories of teachers to meet these highly qualified rules. Again, I could, in questions, explain it more, but it's been very complicated and difficult for special ed teachers and middle school teachers to meet these requirements. And we want to do more to provide incentives to improve teacher quality in high poverty schools. We've been supporting the federal government providing financial incentives for teachers to go to and stay in high poverty schools, improved working conditions there, things like that. We did have a list of things we are opposed to. I won't read the whole list. We're very opposed. We've always been opposed to public money going directly to private schools, so-called vouchers. I won't read all the rest, but basically we're opposed to new mandates on testing or teacher quality or things like that. So this next chart is actually interesting. This is not political red-blue. These are not Democratic and Republican states. It would actually be a weird map if it was, but what this shows, and this has been a little known issue, every state has to have its system of standards and assessments approved by the U.S. Department of Education, meaning not is its test too easy or too hard, but is its test aligned with its standards? Or they have accommodations for students with disabilities? Are they generally meeting the requirements of No Child Left Behind, et cetera? And the blue states are the ones that have received final approval, but the red states, 6 years after the law has been signed, still have not had their system of standards and assessments approved, which raises a question since schools are being rated in those states, like the other states, on AYP based on their tests, and their system of standards and assessments may not be valid and reliable. Is the whole system valid and reliable? So I just find it very troubling that that many states haven't been approved yet. I personally think the chance, though, of a bill being finished and signed into law is very, very slim because there's no consensus among Congress about what to do. So you have some Republicans who are reverting to their conservative roots and saying, I don't want the federal government really having any involvement in education. Let's repeal this and just get out of this. You have some Republicans still supporting the president. You have some Republicans who don't want to have the federal role eliminated but want significant changes in the law. You have some Democrats who are more supportive of the law. You have others who want changes, and you have some, again, who are almost like the right and left have come around and met at the bottom who want to repeal the whole thing also. And Bush is obviously very weak politically. It's his last now 11 months. Very hard to see how something that the Democrats support and Republicans might go with that the president signs, but sometimes strange things happen in Congress. I think there'll be some pretty significant changes, though I will concede significant is a subjective term, so how significant a change is going to be, in the eye of the beholder. Congress is, whether you view it fortunately or unfortunately, is not, I don't think, very likely to eliminate some kind of accountability system of which tests are some part. So what we're trying to do is make that much more flexible, much less prescriptive, much less punitive.
A lot of government